My name is Scott Parker. I'm one of the junior officers at MycoGold and sales director. So that ought to give you an indication how seasoned our leadership team is. We're getting older. Larry, you can empathize with that probably. I told Larry it's been a long time. I've been trying to get out of here for years. I did tell him, I said, whenever you have your next growers meeting in Florida, I'm there. And sorry, Larry.
Didn't quite work that way.
No, it did. No, what's happened is that we start production for the spring season right after Thanksgiving. And it's a busy time for us. These are good problems to have because we've grown tremendously in the last 3 years. And we finally gotten to where I'm a micromanager and I've handed off the production tasks to other people. And they're more happy that I'm here than anybody else probably at this time. So we've been in the ag biological industry for, keeps increasing in years, 25 years. And most of you guys, well, I don't know if I should say most, some of you guys know our how MycoGold originated. Some of you have heard the story. For those of you that have not, I'll give you the Cliff's Notes version on it. It all started back in the early 90s. After the Soviet Union broke up, Ukraine became its own state, and my dad is a second generation farmer, and he had a friend who was a farmer and a missionary in Illinois. And so Roger went out and did a mission trip in Ukraine, and he was there for 2 or 3 weeks, toured the whole state. And when he got back, he called my dad up and he said, "Hey, Joe, got to tell you something. We went over to Ukraine and they got the best soil you've ever seen in your life. It's like Champaign, Illinois soil. Great organic matter. But the problem is they don't know how to farm it a lick." So that piqued my dad's interest, and like any other normal person in the world, he goes, "Well, let's go start a farming operation there." It wasn't that simple, but that's how it evolved. He went over there. It started small, and then it grew, and then corporate farming came in. We had, at one point, at the peak, I think it was 30,000 acres, of which 15,000 were irrigated. And when that was a small farm after about a decade and a half of being there. So getting back to biologicals, soil biology, improving soil biology, sustainable ag, regenerative ag was much more common in Europe. They were a little ahead of us as far as that being more customary. So naturally, in late 90s, we started delving into it as far as using it on our own farms. We worked with mycorrhizae, we worked with trichoderma, we worked with all these different fungi and bacteria, and then it grew. We found out what worked, we found out what didn't. We teamed up with the universities over there. We got a group of bioscientists specifying in the ag industry, and then we put together an inoculant company where we were so successful on our farms, we started marketing it over there to the rest of the farms in Ukraine, and Bulgaria, and Belarus, and so on. So everybody knows the situation that Ukraine's in now, which is not a great one. But in 2014, they annexed Crimea, and then you guys know the rest of the story. Fortunately for us, we were able to divest most of our holdings over there a couple years after Crimea was taken, basically, and that was due to the geopolitical risks, and it turned out to be a pretty good move. So after Crimea was annexed, we decided to take the inoculant business from Ukraine, bring it over and offer it to the farmers in the U.S., and that's how MycoGold started. Now, there were a lot of other things that happened while in Ukraine. We were in soybean processing, and we did, what else was there? Soybean processing plant. we had a hog business there at one point, and for anybody that does livestock, God bless you. That is a tough business to be in. And my dad tells the story better than anybody because he'll tell you the nuances and the challenges. I think at one point we had twice as many security guards as we did farm workers to keep people from stealing stuff. So it was quite an adventure. And he always, when he tells the story, he never tells one particular part about it. I'm going to share it with you because he's not here. But he doesn't tell this story. But I think it's a good one. It's a funny one. One of the ventures that they wanted to do while they were over there was he wanted the Ukrainian people to be able to enjoy peanut butter. You know how we all grew up here. We love peanut butter and jelly. We grew up with peanut butter jelly sandwiches. We've always enjoyed peanut butter, and he thought it would be a great protein source, economic protein source for the Ukrainian people. So he started growing peanuts there. That's a big challenge. There's not enough heat units there to grow peanuts. But he found some hybrid where you could grow them in northern latitude areas, and he figured that out. Then he got a processing plant that would make it just like Jif, okay? Make it like Jif, look like Jif. I forget the name of it, what he called it, but it had a red and a blue label on the outside of the jars. The only problem is, all this put together, had the peanut butter ready to go. There's only one problem. Ukrainians don't like the taste of peanut butter. So, we go through these life lessons. I don't know who his focus group was. It was probably, some family members and a few Ukrainians that was on the payroll, I don't know. So, a lot of life's lessons are learned through failures. I know personally, I've learned a lot of lessons. I don't know about you guys. So, that's how MycoGold came to the U.S. And let me hit this button here. Now we're going to talk about biologicals. Okay. So, can you guys hear me okay? Okay. Biologicals are the #1 segment in the ag industry. They've grown tremendously. They're gaining a lot of recognition. And that's kind of a good thing. I've been waiting for this for a while because I know you guys are going to be shocked. But there was a time when people would say, what is that pixie dust you got there? So now that we're validated, no, people still say that to me, just to set the record straight. It kind of gives us a validation. It gives us, people are more interested in how to improve their soil and the soil biology. So that's the good news. The bad news, it's not really bad. There's a lot of new products coming to market, people that don't have the experience, necessarily the right experience, and things of that nature. So what I'd like to accomplish, if I accomplish anything today, is give you guys enough of an insight to know what you're looking for. Okay, what are biologicals? It's basically, biological is a broad brush term. There's a lot of things that consist or could qualify as a biological. A lot of people sell things that are considered biological. But you mainly have 3 categories. You have your biostimulants, you have which are non-live organisms, things like aminos, micronutrients, kelp, things of that nature that help get the metabolism of the soil going with the indigenous microbials. Then you have the biofertilizers. Those are your live fungi, bacteria that are going to be beneficial to the soil, to the plant. And then you have your biopesticides, which are microbes that defend against pathogens, disease, things of that nature. So those are the 3 categories of biologicals. One thing unique about our product that you won't find in a lot of other products is that we contain all three. We have what we like to call the complete package biological arsenal. So you have the biostimulants, which are your aminos, humates, micronutrients, biofertilizers, beneficial fungi and bacteria, and then of course the biopesticides, which is Bavaria bassiana, and then Defender Plus, which we'll talk about here shortly. What are biologicals used for? Why would you want to use them? Biologicals, simply put, allow for the plant to utilize vital nutrients and water more efficiently. And whenever you can do anything more efficiently, you're going to get a better product. We're going to accomplish that through plant root development. We can fix nitrogen. We're going to increase the nutrient water efficiency. Crop quality and productivity are going to increase. And then soil carbon sequestration and storage. Yes, we do have microbials in MycoGold that will trap carbon, but that's led me down a rabbit hole, and it's something that I'd probably like to speak with you guys about after the presentation if anybody has any enlightenment. But I have talked to several people. There's a lot of carbon credit programs out there. Now let me preface this by saying, if there's any way for the farmer to be able to take advantage of a federal legal program and generate additional revenue, I'm all for it. But there's some caveats to these programs, and the water's a little bit muddy. I know there's programs out there. I don't know a single farmer that's been paid. There's two different. There's soil sequestration. There's the ethanol program with the CI score. I think Continamag is probably one of the leaders on that. And it seems to be, from what you have to have a project developer. You have to be able to use change of practices that are qualified as change of practices, no-till, min-till, things of that nature. And then you have to have a third-party auditor that comes in and tells you how many pounds of carbon you sequester per acre. And then that value is then sold on the marketplace, which the market can fluctuate tremendously as far as value. And then there's a broker involved in that. It's very complicated. So, not to say that it won't be uncomplicated in the near future, and hopefully you don't have to do a 4-year transition. I've seen a couple of contracts that other companies have put out on it, and the devil's always in the details. But I guess as far as MycoGold's concerned, we are currently in testing to become qualified as a change of practice product. So there won't be anything as far as a program for 2025, but possibly in 2026. And rest assured, if we do offer a program to sign up farmers, it will be extremely transparent, and everyone will know where the money's going. So, moving on, the purpose, it's pretty simple. It allows crops to thrive by improving the quality of the soil. And one key point is that this is a value-added product, okay? It is not meant to replace what you're doing now. Now, you can change a few things that you're doing now as far as reductions, but we are supposed to work with what you're doing now. We're not telling you how to change, or we're not going to tell you how to farm or change anything that you're doing unless we're trying to accomplish a particular goal. Okay, let's go over the biostimulant package. Once again, biostimulants get that metabolism going for the microbes. It gets it off to a great start. The biostimulants that we use in MycoGold are used to get basically off to a good start, seed emergence. We like to see the seed come out and create a great stand as opposed to control, a better stand than control. Humic acid, the benefits are it starts the rooting process right away and increases microbial activity, which is what we're putting in there. And we want to get those microbes awake out of dormancy and ready to go. Micronutrients, we love the micronutrient package because it also, we've seen with and without, definitely with the micronutrient package, better emergence. It's great. We want to get this plant off to the best start and the quickest start that we possibly can. Aminos are basically, they start the biosynthesis process, which is essential to plant growth, but what we like about it is that it's food. It's a food source for the microbes once they get going. And that's what our biostimulant package is. Moving on to biofertilizers. These are what's going to help make the plant utilize nutrients, water more efficiently. Okay, what we need to make sure that we differentiate as far as other biofertilizers, they're not all the same. And there are over a billion, and this is hard to wrap your head around when you're talking about microscopic organisms. There's over a billion microbes in 1 teaspoon of soil. So to put that, to give you a better understanding of that, it's an inch of soil underneath the plant in the rhizosphere is equivalent to Webster City down in Naples for us. I mean, it's a 1 inch could be 1,000 miles equivalent to where we are. The more strains that you have, this is a misconception, obviously, more better. No, that's not the way it works. We have specific species with specific strains that do a specific function. Not all strains work the same way, and not all microbes are complementary to one another. So that's one thing to keep in mind. I know there's some products out there. We don't disparage any products. There's a lot of good products out there. We're not the only one that has, a decent biological product. But I think Rick was touching on it earlier. I don't know about products that have like 800 different bacteria and fungi in a bottle or a jug. That's not the way you really want to approach this. It's not the right idea. So higher application rates are not always a good thing. You don't want to go off label. More is not better as far as applying more. The only time that would come into play, or if you'd want to do something like that, is with if you haven't planted beans in a while, or the ground's been fallow, yeah, you can increase the rhizobia CFU count in a situation like that. And most of our strains and bacteria and fungi are endophytic, which means not only is it in the rhizosphere, in the root system, it grows up through the plant. Not all, but most. Okay, getting to mycorrhizal fungi. We're going to define what mycorrhizal. A lot of you guys have heard of mycorrhizal fungi. Be surprised. A few years ago, even longer than that, nobody ever heard of it. But mycorrhizal fungi is kind of like it's our leading actor. Okay, the product is designed as a concert for all the ingredients to work together and in order to perform at the highest level. So mycorrhizae, it has a lot of bullet points of what it does that are good, and it's also the key component is the railway system to deliver these nutrients and moisture to the plant. So think of mycorrhizae as casting a wider net to capture not only applied fertilizer, but also to go out and scavenge and gather more nutrients, especially phosphorus. So it allows the host plant to increase its natural ability to uptake water and nutrients. It also has a drought stress protection level, where it limits drought stress, not indefinitely, but for a period to where the plant may not show signs of drought stress. It enhances the plant health and vigor and the seedling growth, and also mycorrhizae along with the Bavaria bassiana will help resist root fungal disease and other viruses and disease in the soil. And like I said, casting that wider net allows you to capture more of applied fertilizer, which is very important. Some of the features and benefits: it is kind of like a quid pro quo system where the mycorrhizae has a symbiotic relationship with the plant. The plant provides the mycorrhizae with sugars, and in return, the mycorrhizae goes out and supplies the plant with nutrients and moisture. Now, this doesn't, as long as the mycorrhizae will stay alive, as long as the host plant's alive. Once the host plant's gone, the mycorrhizae dies off. Improved tolerance for environmental stresses. Mycorrhizae plants withstand drought, high temperatures, good and high salinity soils, as well as acidic soils. So the drought stress protection, let me touch on that for a second. Basically, the hyphae grows out. Part of it grows inside the root, the other part grows out, and it's out scavenging for nutrients and moisture. Inside the hyphae, there are little balloon type structures called vesicles. I call them tiny canteens. What they do is they hold moisture and they hold nutrients and provide that with the plant, to the plant. If we don't get rain, or you haven't turned the pivot on and the plant starts to show signs of stress, or it wants water, it needs moisture, it releases that moisture into the plant. So it'll buy you some time, and whereas an untreated plant, it could be a little bit of a yield buster there. So we've got reducing fertilizer use. This is true. You can reduce your fertilizer application rates. How much? That depends on how long you've been using it. Most people do not reduce or change their fertilizer program. I'll be straight up with you there. They don't do it. Only a few do. And but you are able to do that, especially when we get on to the nitrogen generating bacteria. Okay, mycorrhizal fungi promotes additional growth by producing fine root filaments called hyphae. We talked about that. The hyphae, they are extensions of your natural root system. And what they do is they go out and they're going to scavenge, especially phosphorus. Phosphorus is immobile. And they'll go out, tied up phosphorus, unlock it, and make it available for the plant. Mycorrhizae restores the structure and fertility of degraded soils. Okay, so mycorrhizae will produce a protein called glomalin. And what glomalin is a protein, it's called glue of the soil. It improves the structure of the soil. It allows water, nutrients, easier movement. It allows the hyphae to move easier through the soil. And when we get to the beneficial bacteria, you'll see that it helps serve up those nutrients for the bacteria to gather on a silver platter. PGPRs, PGPBs, kind of the same thing. They're both plant growth promoting bacteria or rhizobacteria. Rhizo just means soil bacteria. So this is another umbrella term. There's a lot of bacteria that are plant growth promoting, disease protecting, and also nitrogen phosphorus solubilizing and nitrogen generating. So these fall under those categories. Once again, you can see how these things have redundancy as far as nutrient uptake. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for all these to work in concert, make each one's job a little bit easier, and being able to get maximum performance out of that plant. We're going to increase the nutrient uptake, hormone production, can produce plant growth hormones like gibberellic acid and IAA, and those are going to be beneficial to the plant as far as getting in there, and it gives them a boost as far as cell division. It will elongate the plant. It allows for better seed germination and flowering. I know some of you probably know someone that's used gibberellin at some point. Well, this actually produces it. Nitrogen fixation can fix nitrogen in the soil. Competition rather. Okay, so we've got the mycorrhizae and the Bavaria bassiana. It competes for food, and that it outgrows the pathogens and keeps them away. It deters the pathogens. Stress tolerance. One nice thing about mycorrhizal fungi is it allows the plant to deal with certain abiotic and biotic stresses better than an untreated plant. Solubilizing bacteria. Okay, these are known as PSBs. They produce inorganic acids and enzymes that release tied up inorganic phosphorus. This process is called solubilization, and the biology can convert organic phosphorus into inorganic. Makes it available to the plants. Proliferation of these microorganisms is dependent on the soil. Okay, so the environmental conditions and prior cropping systems, some strains perform better than others. And that's another key point. The strains that we have in MycoGold, as far as our PSBs, have been proven to work the best as far as solubilizing the phosphate. Okay, let's mycorrhizal treated plants. The phosphate uptake rate per unit per length is 2 to 3 times. That's important. Once again, we're seeing how these things tie together. When you have the mycorrhizae in there, it allows the PSBs to work at a much more efficient rate. And it's shown that it's 2 to 3 times more as opposed to a plant that doesn't have the railway system of the mycorrhizal fungi. Mycorrhizal treated plants, hyphae can treat between 70 to 80% more P. And that is a P uptake that you can use on your P2 reserves, able to go under and scavenge through and bring that phosphate to the plant. Nitrogen generating bacteria. These are specific strains that we have that have proven to generate nitrogen up to 40 pounds per acre as far as for non-legumes. Now, most of us are familiar with rhizobia. Your granddad's inoculant's been around for a long time. Brady rhizobia japonicum for beans, and those are great at fixing, nodulizing, and providing atmospheric pressure to the plant. We now do it for non-legumes through free-living bacteria strains that also are able to take nitrogen out of the air and convert it to ammonium nitrate and make that available to the plant. Okay, what are some factors that can affect nitrogen fixation? Not all N2 fixers are equal, okay? N2 fixing capacity varies greatly between strains. We're going back to, you have to have the right strain for the job. Plants performing N2 fixation need more phosphorus for development. Well, it's a good thing because we've got the phosphorus solubilizing bacteria and the mycorrhizae delivering that. Calcium is particularly important in rhizobia infection. High calcium increases the number of nodules. Once again, calcium is part of our trace mineral package, and I believe it's our highest percentage as far as 8% calcium in there. Seed inoculation is required due to indigenous strains or poor nitrogen fixers. Yes, we have those 10 billion bugs in the soil, but not all of them are going to be able to produce nitrogen fixation. Boron is needed for cell invasion. Boron is also part of our trace mineral package that we have in our micronutrient package, along with cobalt. And it's been known that deficiency in cobalt inhibits nodule formation. A lot of these things you can see that are tying together in order to make the plant more efficient. They're complementing one another and able to do the job. Now, Defender Plus. This is our new CRW defense product. And corn rootworm has been a real problem for a lot of people in a lot of different geographical areas as of late. And BT corn, trait corn is not working as well as it once did. So we've been working very diligently to come up with a solution, or at least an addition to the defense. A good defense in this situation is going to be a winning strategy. And this is our Defender Plus. What it is a microbial formulation of 6 different bacteria and fungi that have a multi-line of defense against CRW. We've got 2 fungi and 1 bacteria. The bacteria is, you may have heard of a product called TS201. We have that same bacteria. It's a Methylbacterium extorquens. And then we also have the Bavaria bassiana, which has always been in our corn blends. Those are more geared towards light pressure and adults for the Bavaria. So we have that, as well as another bacteria that's anisople is the strain on that. What those are going to do, those 3, first line of defense, is going to keep the rootworm in check in the soil. These are working below the soil, except for the Bavaria. I'll get back to that, but it works below the soil. They're going to release exudates that actually deter the larvae from feeding on the roots. So it keeps a defense mechanism there, and it also increases the immune system, the natural defense of the corn plant. That's what those 3 do. Secondly, we have 2 bacteria. One is the Bacillus thuringiensis, and also the bacteria Bacillus pumilus. Now what those 2 do are they infect the larvae, paralyze it, and then ultimately terminate it. So that's another line of defense in this product. And then thirdly, but not last, we have an exclusive strain of endophyte that solubilizes zinc, silica, and phosphates in order to release these auxins that create a better root system. It promotes root regrowth. If larva comes in, if they start feeding on the roots, this will help repair it. And then circling back to the Bavaria, should we get an adult beetle stage? The Bavaria works on the adult beetles by infecting through the cuticle and kills it from the inside out. So it's a multi-line defense mechanism. Is it foolproof? No, it's in addition to what you're doing. Now, our testing that we conducted, the prerequisites for the fields that we were testing were medium or high pressure fields in 2023. Meaning, if they were showing a pressure or trapping more than 22 flies a week, adult beetles a week, then they were medium or high pressure. These were non-traded corn was used, various hybrids, but non-traded corn, and there was no insecticide in the soil at planting. We did not use an insecticide, and we found that we were 80% success rate, 80%, and about 10 bushels of yield protected on these fields. So, how do you apply this? Okay, a seed treatment, it's a dry, you could use it as a dry seed treatment. On your corn, you could use it as it's wettable, you can put it in furrow, or you could use it as a custom seed treatment. What we recommend moving forward, if you're in a medium to high pressure area and you're concerned about CRW, it's going to take a systematic approach to mitigating and protecting yield. We recommend that you use a traded corn. We recommend you use some sort of hybrid that has a larger root ball, perhaps. The choice is yours. If you're heavy, you got to use an insecticide as well in the soil, or if you want to roll the dice, you could try to time out the foliar insecticide, along with the Defender Plus. So that's our new product for 2025 regarding corn rootworm. BB Plus BioBuilder. What this is designed to do, it has basically everything as far as the microbials that the dry has in it, but it can be used as a foliar. If some growers don't want to use the dry, or it's a post-emergence application in order to get these endophytic bugs, meaning you can apply it on the tissue of the plant and it's absorbed through the stomata and delivered down through the plant. You can't use mycorrhizae in this way because it's strictly a rhizosphere microbe. So there is no mycorrhizae in that. In 2023, 2024, last 2 years, this is just results on the BB Plus BioBuilder that we did. It's the yield bumps were, modest, but within ROI standards. The ROI is down because, well, as you know, grain prices have been down. So that's what we did there, but it was a complete success with the BioBuilder. Okay, complex biocarb. I know there's a lot going on in this particular slide. I don't exactly like it, but this is our post-emergence product, and it's important to bring up because when you have these microbes in the vegetative and the reproductive stage, they're going crazy, they are hungry. And what complex biocarb is a food source for them, along with a micronutrient package. And it's also it's a 501 on a fertilizer rate. The aminos in there produce natural fertilizer. So it doesn't have any live microbes in it, and it's applied, like I said, at any time in the vegetation stage. The soybean growers love it just prior to flowering, and it gives it a boost. It allows you, the micronutrients are chelated, so they're ready and they're available for and ready to be used right away. And the complex biocarb is just a good food source for those microbials, which are sort of like teenagers. And anybody who's ever had a teenager knows how hungry they are, and they'll eat out of house and home when they go into the fridge. So it's a great economical food source for that. Now, I've had some growers talk to me about, well, Scott, I do sugar or molasses. I'm like, that's fine, it's great, as long as you're doing something to feed the microbes. But sugar and molasses comes in pretty hot, and then it's gone. The complex biocarb it's fused with short and long chains, so it's kind of like an extender, and it extends the process utilization of that carbon. It's 36% carbon. So that's available. I know, Larry, you work with a lot of different foliars. This is just one that we offer. Okay, what's new? What kind of new tech do we have? We've got a new method of freeze drying, which freeze drying has been around for a long time, but we've got a proprietary new freeze dried method in growing the microbes, whereas before, when you would freeze dry, you would kill the proteins in the cell, thus reducing the colony forming units. And now we've got a different way of freeze drying, which allows us to preserve those proteins and maintain a high level of CFUs. So what does that do in return? It allows us to use a lower the moisture for the bacterium, and it also allows us to increase the after treatment window time. I know a lot of you guys who have been using MycoGold previously. The window after treatment was not very long, like 5 days. Now we have 4 to 6 weeks with an after treatment window. The pails that you have received in the past had an inner bladder, and that was due to the little bit higher moisture content, which created paneling. Paneling in the pails is where they suck in due to the atmospheric change of pressure outside the pail versus inside the pail. We no longer have to worry about that. So no longer an inner bladder, and they're able to maintain a longer shelf life and dormancy until in the soil environment. We got 2 new bacteria for 2025. One's a new PSB, and the other one is a very excellent nitrogen generator. So we're excited to add those. It's pretty hard to get added into our consortium of bacteria and fungi without having excellent records. In closing, I would like to talk to you about the MycoGold Advantage. We've got the proprietary tech that we talked about, which allows us to have higher CFUs. We've got an experienced team. They've been in the ag bio industry for over 25 years, and we've teamed up with the best bioscientists, and they really, what I want to drive home is that they've got a farming background. So you can rest assured that any decision that they make or that we make, the farmer is always at the forefront of that. We've got a proven track record as far as excellent results with our products time and time again. And we are a smaller company. We have grown tremendously in the last 3 to 4 years, which is good, but we're not growing at a capacity to where we become too big too fast. It allows us to keep our prices competitive. I know you guys have seen other products out there and what they charge per acre, and we're always trying to work to maintain our honest product for an honest price. So our product is unique. It is a unique blend of all 3 categories of biologicals, and let's see. That is it. So for those of you who've been supporting MycoGold over the years, we certainly appreciate your support. I thank you for it. And for those of you that are considering using a biological, we'd hope that you consider using MycoGold. Thank you very much.